Towards the end of 21st century, Earth becomes ruined and destroyed. An orphanage boy has the desire to be Elysium citizen, a beautiful space station for the rich and elites one day as a grown-up. He reads about Elysium along with his female friend who tells him more about it and how beautiful things are there. In 2154, two classes of people exist, the very wealthy, who live on a huge and luxurious Stanford tourist-style space station called Elysium, and the poor who live on an overpopulated, devastated ruined Earth. While residents on Earth are policed by ruthless robots, Elysium citizens live in comfort and regularly use bed-sized medical devices called med bays to keep them free of disease and injury. Max DaCosta, a former car thief and parolee, lives in the ruins of Los Angeles and works at an assembly line for Armadine Corp., the military company that supplies arms and weapons to Elysium. Max gets interrogated by droids that police Earth residents while standing in queue. The droid police scan his records and see his past criminal convictions. As the droid tries to identify what's in his bag, Max resists as they bring him down with an electric stunner and gets hit with a metallic-like objects in the arm, leaving him with a fractured arm. The robot later empties his bag and finds nothing implicating and orders him to report to his parole officer. He goes to the hospital to treat his fractured arm and gets recognized by his childhood female friend Frey, whom he is surprised and excited to see. He persuades her for a date, which she turns down. Max later reports to his droid parole officer that wants to extend his parole duration by some months due to resisting arrest. Max complains, but the droid gets reluctant to hear him out. A caravan of illegal immigrants from Earth attempts to reach Elysium and its med bays by Spider, a man that conducts smuggling. 3 spaceships take off. Elysium's Secretary of Defense Jessica Delacourt gets notified and orders vicious sleeper agent M. Kruger to shoot down the shuttles. Kruger launches several missiles, whereby succeeding in bringing down 2 shuttles while one successfully maneuvers the missile. On landing in Elysium, Jessica orders their arrests. As they get arrested by the droids, one of the smugglers manages to take her disabled daughter to the medbay where she gets healed. The Elysium droids arrest them. All the illegal immigrants are lined up for deportation as Delacourt is summoned by the Elysium president. Max gets back from work as Julio welcomes him, persuading him to get involved in a car robbery, which Max declines and tells Julio that he does not want to go to jail again. Max operates an automated door which jams. His supervisor persuades him to move inside or face the consequences, which Max becomes reluctant to do. As Max smuggles himself inside and removes the obstructing device, he gets trapped inside as the door closes. An accident at the plant exposes him to a lethal dose of radiation. His colleagues try to save him, but it becomes too late. A car robot rescues Max as he gains consciousness and asks what happened to him. The robot informs Max about his condition, that he has only 5 days to live due to his overly exposure to radiation. Carlisle sees Max's condition and approves of his dismissal from Armadine Corporation. Max puts his signature and gets a drug for the symptoms. There is a conference meeting in Elysium about what happened between Delacourt and the illegal citizens. President Patel faults Delacourt on her use of lethal force instead of being more diplomatic. Kruger is investigated as all of his criminal records and erratic behaviors are seen. Delacourt tries to defend her actions by telling President Patel that those unauthorized citizens pose a big threat to Elysium and the upcoming generation. Patel refuses to accept her reasons. President Patel dismisses Agent Kruger from Elysium and reprimands Delacourt. Kruger gets his dismissal notice while preparing barbecue on Earth. He angrily takes down his barbecue, ranting and cursing Elysium executives. Max struggles back to his neighborhood as Julio helps him inside the house. Max starts to nauseate and vomit. He laments about his 5 days lifespan that he has, since he has been exposed to lethal dose of radiation. Julio helps him to take his drugs. Max, knowing his only chance for survival is a med bay, seeks help from notorious smuggler Spider with the assistance of his friend Julio. Spider becomes reluctant on Max's request to be part of the group at first and aggressively tells him to get out of the premises. Max places a weapon on Spider's head out of desperation and his guards points back their guns at Max, but Spider sees the zeal in Max and orders them to drop their weapons. Spider agrees to get Max to Elysium only if he helps him steal valuable financial information from Carlisle, who is preparing to leave Earth. Spider shows him a chip for the job. Max attempts to fall, but Spider holds him. Julio becomes skeptical of the deal and pleads to Max for them to leave, but Max insists on the deal because he has no other alternatives. Recognizing Max's weakened condition, Spider presents Max with a 3rd-generation exoskeleton device. Max specifies their target to Spider's CEO of Armadine Corporation, John Carlisle. Carlisle meets with Delacourt for a contract renewal. Delacourt goes further to tell Carlisle that she is not interested in his little ideas, rather she is more focused on a bigger. Delacourt, vowing to protect Elysium and her own power, bargains with Armadyne CEO John Carlyle to write a program that can override Elysium's central computer and make her president. As Carlyle agrees to do that, Delacourt promises him a contract security for up to 200 years at Armadyne Corporation if she becomes the president. Spider takes Max to his inner theater where the surgical implant is going to be done. They first imprint it on his hand. Then gets him on a stretcher and advance him to the theater. He becomes afraid as they sharpen their surgical tools and asks if the surgery is going to hurt. They all burst into laughter. Max expresses skepticism. Julio assures him that he got his back as he gets sedated. Spider has his doctors implant Max with a powered exoskeleton, giving him superhuman strength, as well as an implant in his brain that can store data. Max wakes up successfully after the surgery and sees himself in an exoskeleton. Max asks Spider what he has done to him as Spider replies to get your way out. Carlyle is seen creating the program in his office as promised on Earth and uploads it to his brain for safekeeping, encrypting it with a lethal denial system. Max and the Spider's team converge as they give him weapons for the mission. Carlyle is guarded by 2 droids as he enters his space shuttle and takes off. Max shoots an explosive device at Carlyle's ship which has a timer for detonation. As the ship advances, Max and the team of Spiders trail his ship with their cars. The explosive device detonates and explodes. On crashing, the system reports the situation to Delacourt in Elysium. Delacourt contacts Kruger about the situation. Delacourt tells Kruger that it is classified. Kruger bluntly tells Delacourt that a recently deactivated agent should not retrieve classified information. Kruger, knowing full well that the government is not aware of the operation. He becomes excited as he takes that as loophole to get reinstated in Elysium. As the ship crash lands, the automated system detects 0 injuries on Carlyle as he gets excited. Kruger talks of reinstatement in Elysium if he carries out the operation, which Delacourt agrees on. Unknown to Max and the Spider team, Carlyle deploys one of the guard droids to neutralize the hijackers. One of the droids activates and throws out an explosive that falls under the car. The explosion throws George off balance as he falls. The Elysium system later detects Max as one of the hijackers. This rattles Delacourt. Max later destroys the droid with his firearm. They hurriedly open the ship with a laser device and they arrest Carlyle. The remaining droid engages them as one of the Spiders starts shooting sporadically. Carlyle gets hit by a bullet. The droid attacks Julio but Max pushes him to the car door. Max and the droid engage in a physical combat. The droid slams Max on a car bonnet and throws him at the back of the truck. Max regains himself, pulls off the droid's head and throws it out. Max and the Spider team rush Carlyle, who is seriously wounded. Max downloads the data, including the program, to his own brain. However, due to the encryption of Carlyle's brain data, the information appears unusable. Sergio points a gun at Max as he refuses to repeat the process. He runs off. Kruger's ship arrives at the scene. Kruger's ship runs after Sergio and sends explosive devices which go into Sergio's body. Sergio engages the ship with his firearm but Kruger detonates the explosives and Sergio goes into pieces. Kruger gets off the ship and engages Max in a physical combat. On the verge of killing Max with his sword, Julio shoots at him. Kruger overpowers Julio and kills him with a sword. Max shoots down Kruger with his firearm. Kruger regains consciousness as Max runs off. Delacourt informs Kruger not to damage Max's brain since he has downloaded the information from Carlyle. Carlyle is mortally wounded and suffers a cardiac arrest, and an injured Max hides under a pig truck as Kruger fails to see. While in search for Max, Delacourt orders total airspace lockdown in Los Angeles. Max struggles to the hospital and calls Frey as she is about to leave. Frey comes to his aid and wants to take him inside the hospital but Max refuses and tells her what's on ground. He retreats to the house of Frey, a childhood friend whose daughter, Matilda, has leukemia. As she is about to clean Max's knife wound, Frey sees her childhood symbol she wrote on Max's body as a kid and remembers their childhood days. Max wakes up and tells Frey actually what has led to the wounds. Max sees Frey's daughter Matilda, whom he is not aware of. Out of disappointment, Max tries to leave but Frey holds him back and tells him her medical condition. After learning that Max intends to smuggle himself to Elysium, Frey begs him to take Matilda with him so that she can be cured, but Max refuses. Frey tries to convince him but Max leaves. As Max leaves, the little Matilda ties Max with bandages and tell him some kids' stories. Max insists on leaving. As he leaves, one of the drones spots him as he crashes. Kruger and his team burst into Frey's house. Frey and her daughter gets interrogated and abducted by Agent Kruger. When Max returns to Spider to extract the information from his head and collect his reward, Spider informs Max that the program is scrambled and therefore no one goes to Elysium and there is airspace shot down. Spider deciphers Carlyle's program and realizes it can be used to make all of Earth's residents legal citizens of Elysium. Spider tells Max that his life can be saved in Elysium because of the findings. Max becomes curious and in a hurry about when he can be launched to Elysium space station, but Spider tries to convince Max not be in a hurry because the program could go into the wrong hands, but Max refuses since he has just hours to live and leaves in anger. Max instead uses the shot-down drone to contact Agent Kruger. Kruger lands for negotiations as Max threatens to blow himself up since he has the program with him and tells Kruger to stay calm. Max promises Kruger that he will have the program if he launches him to the Elysium Bay. Kruger assures Max that the med bay will do the cure. He enters Kruger's ship and who unbeknownst to Max has captured Frey and Matilda as hostages. Delacourt lifts the airspace lockdown as Kruger's ship departs for Elysium. A scuffle ensues, resulting in Kruger losing most of his face to a grenade blast and causing the ship to crash land on Elysium. Delacourt confronts the Elysium president and overthrows him with a coup. Max rescues Frey and helps her escape with her daughter. Frey takes her daughter hurriedly to the med bay as Elysium droid spots her. Max is get beaten by Kruger's men. Frey puts her daughter in the med bay which fails to work because she is not a citizen. Frey gets stunned by a teaser and she's unconscious. Max, Frey and Matilda are arrested and taken to Delacourt, who has a team prepare to download the data from Max's brain, while Kruger's men take their severely disfigured leader to the armory. The extraction team discovers the encryption mechanism Carlisle has used, and it is revealed that downloading the data for use will kill Max. Delacourt coolly consents and heads off to find Kruger's team. Meanwhile, the Spider team arrives in Elysium and spots Max's location. Kruger is placed into a med bay, which reconstructs his destroyed face. Max overpowers the scientists and asks one where they have kept Frey and her daughter, which he reveals. Delacourt chastises Kruger's recklessness, but Kruger kills Delacourt, planning to steal the program for himself to rule Elysium. Kruger throws Delacourt's body inside where Frey and her daughter are locked up. Kruger has his men install a superior military-grade version of Max's exoskeleton onto himself. At the same time, Kruger's men exterminate most of the leaders of Elysium. Frey tries to treat Delacourt while bleeding, but she stops her as she bleeds to death. Frey and her daughter are about to be tortured and killed by one of Kruger's agents, but Max intervenes, beats and kills him. Neutralizing Kruger's agent with a gun, he frees Frey and Matilda. As Max takes Frey and her daughter to the med bay location, Kruger with his new exoskeleton goes on rampage in search for Max. Max tells Frey to take Matilda to the med bay. Frey tells Max that it won't work since she is not an Elysium citizen, but Max assures her that it will be fixed. Then meets with Spider, who secretly came aboard Elysium during the chaos, and heads for the main computer core. However, they are ambushed by Kruger as he implants an explosive device in one of Spider's men, which he detonates and kills him as Spider and Max gets thrown off balance. Fight breaks out between Max and Kruger. Max gets weak as Kruger is about to finish him. Spider intervenes and Kruger's sword falls off. Max and Kruger continue the fight. During the fight, Max tears the interface that connects Kruger's brain to his exoskeleton directly out of his skull. Defiantly, Kruger tethers himself to Max's suit and arms a grenade with the intent of killing both himself and Max. However, Max rips the tether off, damaging his own suit, and hurls Kruger over a ledge to his death as Kruger explodes. Spider hacks and opens the Elysium data center. Spider and Max reach Elysium's main data center where Spider realizes that activating the program will initiate Carlisle's encryption and kill Max. Spider informs Max about the impaction and tells him that even the med bay can't save his situation. Elysium president and his guards approach towards them. Max, who already knows, speaks with Frey, who's in the med bay with one of Spider's men and his daughter one last time over a radio, and then activates the program himself. As he dies, the computer core is rebooted, registering every Earth resident as a citizen of Elysium. President Patel, who has just broken into the computer core with a security team, finds his orders to arrest Spider resisted, as the droid guards now recognize Spider as a citizen. A medbay cures Matilda and, since a massive number of new citizens on Earth are now recognized by Elysium's main computer as being in need of medical treatment, a fleet of medical ships are automatically dispatched to Earth to begin their work as Earth's citizens rejoice. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click subscribe and like button along with the notification bell.